This is Rebel Therapist, a podcast for entrepreneurs who are trained as therapists and who want to level up their businesses, make a bigger impact, feel fulfilled, and be very well paid. I'm your host, Annie Schuessler. It's just you and me today. I've already talked to some of you about this episode, and you've probably already seen the title, Burn Your Therapy License. So let me explain before you decide that I have taken this all way too far. I'm talking about symbolically burning your therapy license as a mental exercise. It may seem really extreme to you, but over these years of helping therapists expand beyond private practice and create the businesses that they really want to create, I have discovered that this is sometimes your biggest obstacle. Now, if you're not a licensed therapist, you might be wondering what the hell I'm talking about right now. And as you keep listening, you'll be dipping into the internal world of the licensed therapist. Or you might decide that you're going to skip this episode because it's luckily one obstacle that you just don't have. In fact, now that I've got a good number of non-therapists in my groups, I find that you non-therapists really help us who are therapists to see how we're holding ourselves back. When I talk to therapists about their most liberated and exciting visions for their businesses and what they want to accomplish and how they want to work, a lot of times they talk about wanting to work in ways that involve less one-on-one sessions. Some folks, some of you, feel really limited by the constraints of private practice and you want to expand in a new direction. Some of you feel burned out or out of balance, and maybe you feel like you're on your way to burnout in the way you're working now. Maybe you feel frustrated that you've hit or you're approaching a plateau, an income ceiling with one-on-one sessions. Or maybe you love your private practice, but you don't really want to grow it beyond 10 or 15 sessions a week. And you do want to make more money and you do want to do something in addition to private practice. So with this whole constellation of issues, a lot of time therapists start exploring the possibility of making money in new ways. You start to dream into the idea of creating new programs. You want to collaborate with different kinds of healers, and maybe you even find that you want to lead a movement. And if you hear that and you're like, no, not me, it actually might be you, and you just might not know it yet. And then, as you're dreaming into these possibilities, often what happens within a few minutes is that you start to worry about your therapy license. So that's when I hear these kinds of concerns. Well, what if I do something to mess up my therapy license? What if I lose my therapy license? What will my therapist colleagues think? If I use a title like coach for myself, are people going to think I'm cheesy? So those concerns are enough to stop some people before they even get to dream into a new vision. So that possibility gets shut off within less than 5 minutes. So here's my prescription: burn your therapy license. And I want to remind you, I'm talking about this symbolically. If you have a therapy license, you may want to keep it. You may not. And either choice is totally fine. Your therapy license is a tool, but symbolically, I want you to take a moment to burn it or otherwise let it go in your imagination, just for a moment, so that you can fully explore the next possibility. And now you're likely to freak out. And here's how I want you to handle your fears about losing or harming your license. Write them down. Write down every single concern or question or fear that you have. Otherwise, it's kind of like a voice that's going to get louder if you ignore it. So by writing it down, you're telling yourself that, yes, I'm listening. I'm going to address those concerns. So, tell me everything you're worried about. And at the right time, I'm going to address all of these fears, all of these concerns. Then once you've calmed those fears and concerns down by giving them a place, get back to this exercise of burning your therapy license, symbolically. Ask yourself this: in what ways is your fear of losing your therapy license holding you back from serving in the ways that you're meant to serve? And inside that question is an even bigger and more important question: how are you meant to serve now? And allow yourself to explore that. I'll share a little bit of my own journey with burning my therapy license. I closed my therapy practice in the spring of 2020, and it was a bittersweet transition. It was just the right time for me to simplify and to double down on one business, Rebel Therapist. Letting my therapy practice go also had some other benefits. It freed up space for me to co-create a second podcast. And this new podcast is not related to Rebel Therapist, and it's not for business. It's a personal project that's really important to me. With my co-host, Caitlin Dixon, we released season 1 of Listening to Adoptees this past fall of 2020. It's a podcast that features adult adoptees and foster alum talking about their experiences. I'm an adoptive parent, and Caitlin, my co-host, is an adult adoptee, and we bring both of our points of view to these interviews. So if you're part of an adoption or foster constellation, or if you're a professional who works with folks in adoption or foster constellations, please check it out. And you can most likely listen right where you're listening to this now, or you can go over to listeningtoadoptees.com. So for me, letting go of my private practice was the right thing to do. And I loved my therapy clients. It was just the right next step for me. Probably the biggest obstacle for me to ending my therapy practice was sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy, if you're not familiar with it, it's the idea that if you invested time or money or energy into something, then that thing is inherently valuable and you've got to hold on to it to prevent losing that investment. And when you think clearly and in a future-focused way, you can think instead about what makes sense for me from here to get what I want. So you're no longer thinking, what did I put into the things I already have? You're thinking, what do I want next? So to get around sunk cost fallacy, you can ask yourself, whether it's about your therapy license or your sofa or whatever it is, you can ask yourself, what would I do to get this thing now if I didn't already have it? And if you wouldn't do anything to attain it now, it may not be valuable to you now. So that's me. And if you think I'm telling you that the ultimate path for everyone is to let go of your therapy practice, oh my God, no. Please know that that is not true. Most of the therapists I work with choose to keep their therapy licenses at least for a long time or indefinitely. And some don't. Some decide, like I have decided for myself, that the vision they've got moving forward doesn't include a therapy license. It's totally fine either way. There are so many good reasons to keep your therapy license, like because you want it, because you want a private practice or another job that your license is a necessary or important tool for. So now I want to share some examples. These are folks who are building businesses beyond private practice. I really love sharing examples because they give you a sense of what's possible when you let yourself think about what you actually want. I also really love imagining these folks listening as I mention them. I did get all of their enthusiastic consent to mention their work. Iriel Williams has created Heal So You Can Live, a course to help heal after an abusive relationship. Bart Hattler has created a program for singles who want to unblock barriers to finding romantic love. Debbie Schwartz has created Comfort for Caregivers, a program for overwhelmed caregivers to take care of themselves while protecting the health of another. Carissa Carner has created the Joyful Business Course, a program for entrepreneurs who want to create and grow joyful businesses. Rachel Fusco created the Geek Guild, a program for high school juniors to walk through the college application process with sanity. Maureen Cotton, who's actually an interspiritual minister, not a therapist, created an intensive to help couples plan unique and powerful ceremonies. I got to work with these smart and innovative people in Create Your Program, and you can find out about that and join me next time by going to rebeltherapist.me/create. There's a lot more information there about it. The first time I shared this concept of burning your therapy license, it was with my email list, and some of you are on there. This was the email I got more responses to than any email I've ever sent out. You told me about what your fears are of losing or harming your therapy license. And you told me about what those fears might be holding you back from. So here are some of the themes that I heard over and over again. I want to serve more people outside of the state where I'm licensed. I want to use effective interventions that don't fall strictly within my therapy license. I want to be more authentic, and I worry about disclosing anything in my marketing that could damage my reputation or my license. I want to serve people in a decolonized way, and that vision for me falls outside of my therapy license. I want to work in a way that aligns with my values, which my therapy license in some ways doesn't. I'm ready to give up my license so I can work in all the ways I'm meant to. I'm excited about an idea for a program that doesn't fall within my therapy license. My practice is full and I want to do more without adding to it. I'm feeling boxed in, and the idea of symbolically burning my license is giving me the freedom to think differently. I've already symbolically burned my license, even though I'm maintaining it as a useful tool. So there's no one right answer of what you're going to do once you've given yourself the freedom to dream about all the possibilities. And I want to know what's coming up for you. So what about you when you allow yourself to symbolically burn your therapy license? You like how I just have to keep throwing in symbolically? Like, I think you're going to get confused. If you've been listening to this, I think you already know I'm not inviting you to a huge bonfire. So when you allow yourself to burn your therapy license, what possibilities arise for you? How are you meant to serve next? I would love to know. So email me at info@coachingwithannie.com. You can either just type out your message or, even better, record a voice memo for me. I would love to share your thoughts in your own voice. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. I love creating for you, and I love growing with you. I also want to thank Tara McMullen and the entrepreneurs I worked with in 2020 in her forum mastermind. These folks really helped me solidify this message. Go to Tara's podcast, What Works, if you want to listen to hundreds of episodes of really smart, innovative, and thoughtful business conversations. I want to thank Cosmo Palms for editing this podcast, as always, and taking out my long, awkward pauses. I'll see you next time.